Crimson Trace offers a full line of protection-oriented products, including red laser sights, green laser sights, and tactical weapon lights to elevate your confidence in moments that matter. Learn more at crimsontrace.com.
Keep your powder dry, lock, stock, and barrel. We'll talk about anything related to guns. It's Tom Gresham's Gun Talk. Call now, 866-TALK-GUN.
All right, welcome back. Tom Gresham here, 866-TALK-GUN. Yes, we are celebrating 25 years on the air officially. Actually, we hit 25 years on March 5th, but this is the first show after that. So, yeah, 25 years, 1,300 shows, 25 times 52 comes right out to 1,300. How about that? I don't even know. Have to do 3 times that for the how many hours, plus bonus podcast and everything else. It's been a hoot. It's been so much fun. It's been a passion. It's been life-changing, certainly for me. And the man behind all this, the guy who was the inspiration for it, joins us right now, Alan Gottlieb, the creator, the head of the Second Amendment Foundation and the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms. Alan, welcome and thank you.
Oh, it's great to be with you, Tom. Congratulations. It's really an amazing day, 25 years. I can remember it was like yesterday that we had the 20th anniversary, and 5 years, just blink of an eye, and they're gone.
I know. I mean, I know we've told the story before, but I'll just real quickly. It was SHOT Show 25 years ago. Last January, I come up to you, we're talking about it, and I said, yeah, we ought to do something together. And you said, have you ever been on radio? I said, no, I've done some TV. And you said, we ought to do radio. And then we kind of fast forwarded through the next 24 hours, and I ran out on the floor and got some sponsors, which was crazy to me. And, I said, well, I don't know what to call it. You said, well, it's easy. It's Tom Gresham's Gun Talk. I went, oh, okay. And we got started.
Yeah, we did. At the time, I was chairman of the board of the Talk America Radio Network, and that's where we launched you at. And I knew there was a market for this, but the question was who could do it and who could pull it off and make this really work. And the only person I could think of was you.
Well, I appreciate that. I know I shared with you then. I don't know if I reminded you. The next morning, I went, and I said, well, how does it work? And you said, well, you have to sell advertising. I went, I never sold advertising. I don't know how to do that. So I went down on the SHOT Show floor and went and talked to my friend Ken Jorgensen at Smith & Wesson. And I started to explain it to him. And I said, it's a crazy idea. I was talking with Alan, and we were talking about talk radio and a show about guns. And he said, we're in. I said, well, no, wait, stop. He says, no, we're in. I said, no, I don't have a show, and I don't know how long it would be, and I don't know what the rates would be. And he stopped me. He says, Tom, you're not hearing me. If you're doing a show about a talk radio show about guns, Smith & Wesson is in. I don't care about the rest of it. And that's been kind of the reaction throughout.
Yeah, it was really great that the industry supported this concept, this idea. 25 years ago, talk radio was the new media.
Yeah.
And even today, with all the new media we've got and the internet and everything else, talk radio still falls right in with that as part of the new media, so to speak, because that's how people get things fast, get information fast. And you've just been amazing for 25 years. The information you've given out to gun owners from, gun tactical things, from, gun supplies and guns themselves to the politics of guns. This show has just been absolutely amazing. It's been very special, and I'm very proud of you.
One of the things that people don't realize now is that back then, talk radio was an end run around the media because they had the gatekeepers up, and we couldn't get our message out there. And we didn't have podcasts. We didn't have all the other ways of getting the message out. There was no YouTube. There was none of that stuff. There was basically the mainstream media and talk radio. And so we were the counterculture. We were the end run around the media.
Definitely the case. I like to call them the legacy dominant media, not mainstream, because I think you're mainstream and they're not. But the bottom line is that it was a way around the media, just like it is today. I mean, we've got the same thing. If anything, the legacy media today is worse than it was 25 years ago. Yes. And your show is more important today than it was 25 years ago.
Well, and those folks who weren't there either don't know or maybe have forgotten about what the landscape was like when it comes to gun rights and the assaults on us 25 years ago, 1995, 1 year after the Clinton gun ban. You might just kind of set the stage because it was looking a little bit grim.
Well, back then, aside from the Clinton administration being the most anti-gun administration we had in our history up to that point, You also had that legacy dominant media being extremely anti-gun, not as bad as they are today, but back by the standards back then, it was very difficult for us to get our message out and influence public opinion because the other side had all the mouthpieces. Mm-hmm. And then you had, if you remember, we had a guy named Morris Dees.
Oh,
who was a very big left-wing fundraiser and with lots of different causes, and he decided to put in over $1 million in capital from a bunch of fat cats, which in today's money would probably be about $3 million, to set up something I think was called the National Gun Control Center, if I have the name remembering it right.
That's correct. He was out of Montgomery, Alabama. He's the same guy who started the Southern Poverty Law Center. Right,
which is still around today and very influential.
Right.
But I viewed that as a very major threat back 25 years ago because it was the first major money that came into the anti-gun movement, and it was all used to establish and create a grassroots national organization to counter the groups that we had. And luckily for us, it fell on its face and didn't succeed. Unlike today, the threat being Michael Bloomberg, who does put millions in, but puts billions in, and is a much bigger threat than Morris Dees was. But Morris Dees is one of those, millionaire anti-gunners way back when that sort of, I think, set the blueprint for what Bloomberg is doing today.
Dees was I don't know if I ever told you, Dees was the only guy I ever got an anonymous phone call about. I was the editor of Southern Outdoors. This would have been about 1976, 77. And I get a call from a guy who says, I need to talk to you. I said, who is this? He said, I can't tell you. And he said, but there's a fellow here locally. I was working in Montgomery, Alabama, and this guy knew I was involved in gun rights. He says, a guy here locally has just set up a bank account for a new gun control group. And he described the group that you just talked about. And it was Morris Dees. He said, he's also, and here's the kicker, he's also the lead fundraiser for our presidential election, Jimmy Carter.
Correct. He was very close to Jimmy Carter, raised all the funds basically for Jimmy Carter. Was a big-time, left of center Democrat who took a lot of different, social causes on. But then when he got into guns, I was very concerned. Luckily, that's been the one area where he was not successful in. Interesting, his brother, Morris Dees' brother, was a police officer who ran one of the police magazines who totally opposed Morris Dees' gun ban strategies and actually worked with us and gave us some inside information of what Morris Dees was doing way back in the days.
Well, of course, since I lived in the same hometown, I knew things about him. He had his own skeet range out there. Morris basically would do anything that he thought he could stir people up and make money because he was a direct mail expert, a world that you know a lot about. And basically, in his deal, it was, and he did a lot of race baiting back then, made a lot of money doing that. So, but anyway, that kind of sets the stage. That's what we were looking at 25 years ago, the battles, and we needed mechanisms. We needed megaphones, and Gun Talk Radio became one of our megaphones.
Maybe one of our biggest ones, and maybe definitely one of our more influential ones. The impact that you have had on the gun rights movement over the 25 years has been phenomenal. And I know wherever I go, it's, I heard you on Tom Gresham's Gun Talk show. The show's been amazing, and I'm just very proud of what you've accomplished, and I take my hat off to you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate everything you've done, and I've jumped on board. I'm on the board of the Second Amendment Foundation. You've been kind enough to allow me to do that, and also to appear at Gun Rights Policy Conference, which gives us a chance to plug GRPC. This year it's going to be in Orlando.
Yeah, September 20th around approximately, that weekend in Orlando, Florida at the Airport Marriott Hotel. Again, it's free, and registration's already open, by the way. There's already a couple hundred people that are pre-registered. So you can go to saf.org and register. It's totally free and get the information on it.
There you go. And it's important. Talk about a year when it's important to be involved and get connected and find out what they're doing in other states and how to be effective. We've got to get everybody registered, and we have to get them to vote, because when we do that, we win, and when we stay home, we lose. It really is that simple.
It really is, and that's why shows like Gun Talk, and everything you do, Tom, is so important to it, because it reaches millions of people every weekend. It's great.
Well, thank you, Alan. Thank you so much. I appreciate all your help, and I appreciate having you as a friend. Yes,
the friendship for 25 years has just been absolutely great. High point of my life. Thank you, Tom.
All right, you take care. 866-TALK-GUN will get you in here. More guests and your calls when we come back. guns can be a great value, but you have to know who you're buying from. What if you could buy quality used guns with a lifetime warranty from the Internet's largest online reseller? That's what you get at DuriesGuns.com. They stand behind every firearm purchase for life. If you have a problem, they'll either fix or replace your gun. Pistols, rifles, shotguns, and more. Check out their inventory today at DuriesGuns.com.
Caldwell's new AR-500 easy-to-see, easy-to-mount steel targets are ideal for competition, training, and recreation. These targets are made of AR-500 hardened steel, can withstand thousands of rounds of both handgun and rifle rounds, up to 3,000 feet per second, and are available in 7 sizes. Visit CaldwellShooting.com to outfit your range. And don't forget your EMAX Pro hearing protection to ring steel, not your ears. That's CaldwellShooting.com.
Perhaps more than any other landscape, wetlands embody the life-giving abundance that nature has to offer. And perhaps more than any other organization, Ducks Unlimited is working to ensure that our continent's wetlands not only survive, but thrive for generations well beyond this one. The time is now to band together. The time is now to rescue our wetlands.
It's America's favorite .22 rifle. No matter how, where, or what you like to shoot, there's a Ruger 1022 for you. From the carbine to the incredible takedown models, the tactical and target versions, all Ruger 1022 models have the legendary action and detachable 10-round rotary magazine. Whether you're hunting squirrels or tin cans, there's a lifetime of fun in every Ruger 1022 rifle. See them all at Ruger.com. That's Ruger.com.
Hey, Tom, Dave Spalding from Handgun Combative. Want to congratulate you on 25 years. I don't know if you realize it, but not only have you informed the gun community, you've saved a bunch of lives out there, and we cannot thank you enough. So continued good luck, partner.
Very kind, very kind. 25 years on the air. We're going to do another 25. Who knows, 50. Well, we'll do it as long as we can. Having fun. By the way, I'm Tom Gresham. Glad that you could join us. 866-TALK-GUN is the number here if you'd like to be a part of this. Yeah, we did have a call some years ago from a guy who was describing somebody who was growing leaves that were bulletproof. And it got weird. And he said, it's kind of scientifical. And that took on a life of its own. So after that, everything was scientifical. One of the folks we had on the very first show number 1, which, by the way, you can listen to through podcast and on our various websites, was Brian Wilson. I called him this week, and we went down memory lane. Here we go. All right, it's a real pleasure to bring in an old friend of mine, Brian Wilson. He's a real radio guy. Brian, you were actually on the very first Gun Talk show 25 years ago. Unbelievable.
And what a time we had. I mean, there was all sorts of concoctions and skullduggery and back and forth and tap dancing.
You were one of our fake callers because, I mean, let's be real. We didn't have a show. This is the first show, and I had met you at a radio convention, I think, and told you what we're doing. And you were a gun nut. And you go, yeah, let's do this thing. Well, and then, of course, in years as we went on, you actually came in and guest hosted, filled in for me several times when I needed to go do something, which I appreciate very much.
I had a ball, and as I recall, when it was all over, we took a count, and you only lost 3 stations.
That's not bad.
It's always a thrill to see or read or hear, the things that you're doing now that was just kind of a pipe dream. 25 years ago, all the changes, all the advances, good and bad, advances in the gun lines, the bad and the politics and so on. And it's a great leadership role that you've taken and fulfilling. And you sent me a really neat Smith & Wesson jacket.
I remember that.
Which I was wearing one day when I ran a stop sign in Baltimore.
Yeah.
And naturally, I had an opportunity to meet one of the Baltimore's finest, who came to the side of the car, and he got the license and registration thing, and he saw the Smith & Wesson logo on the side of the jacket, and he said, "Do you work for Smith & Wesson?" And I explained that, well, yes and no, not in an official capacity, blah, blah, blah. And he remembered the show that I did in Baltimore, years prior. And then when I mentioned that I had done this as a commercial effort for Tom Gresham's Gun Talk. Well, he lit up like a Christmas tree, and we had a real nice conversation about Smith & Wesson products. And,
oh, my.
and put that ticket book back in his pocket, and we were on our way.
Wow, bonus. That is great.
Very, very cool.
Well, thank you, Brian. I appreciate it. Brian Wilson, a good friend of Gun Talk through the years. Thank you for everything and for being there on the very first show.
It's my pleasure, and congratulations, Tom. I'm going to send you a silver bullet for the 25th anniversary.
That'll work. Yeah, talking with Brian was fun. I had forgotten. We had a call one time from a guy who says, we're talking. He says, oh, wait a minute, there's a police officer behind me. I said, well, do you need to pull over? He said, no, I'm on the side of the road. I said, oh, okay. And he said, wait, he's walking up behind me. And then you can hear the window go down and the traffic's going shoo, 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 going by. And you can hear the officer say, are you okay, sir? And he says, yeah. He says, I'm talking on the radio right now. I'm talking on Tom Gresham's Gun Talk. And the police officer, swear to God, says, I'm listening to that show right now. And so now we've done like this three-way conversation with the cop and the caller, and it was a hoot. It was so much fun. I mean, we really have had a bunch of fun. One of the guys who's been here often with us, and one of the top trainers in the country is McKee. I asked Tiger to join us for this as well. All right, one of the things we've seen, of course, over the last 25 years is a real change in people taking responsibility for their own safety. And one of the guys who's been a big part of that, has been a big part of Gun Talk Radio, is Tiger McKee from Shoot Right Academy. 25 years ago, the concealed carry movement was just barely getting started, kind of coming out of Florida. Of course, you've been teaching self-defense with guns for a long time. If you had to kind of look at it and say, gee, what have we seen over the last 20, 25 years? How would you put it?
It's been really interesting. Actually, Shoot Right just celebrated our 25th anniversary last year, and we've seen a lot of changes. When I first started, it was mainly guys with 1911 pistols that were coming for training. And now what we're seeing is a lot more just everyday people with, the polymer pistols that are easy to operate, very reliable, and they're just looking to get the basic fundamentals of self-defense. They don't want to be on a SWAT team. They just want to know how to defend themselves and their family.
There's kind of a mindset change that's gone from, just call the police to, okay, we actually have awakened to the realization that they're not going to be here, and it's going to take them a while to get here, and we got to have something to deal with the issue until they get here.
Yeah, there's been a big awakening as far as the general public goes, to where they realize that, like, self-defense is a personal responsibility. We've got to be ready to defend ourselves in a moment's notice against a sudden and violent attack.
If you don't have anything to fill this empty space, this vacuum, something will fill it. That's the nonsense we get off of TV and movies.
Oh, yeah. One of the things I tell students at the very beginning is forget anything you've ever seen in a television show or a movie.
Yep.
And then also a lot of people don't realize that there's a lot more to it than just knowing how to shoot a pistol. You've got to look at the fundamentals like movement to try to escape or avoid trouble, communication with your family, issuing verbal commands to the threat, trying to get to a safe area that you can easily defend if necessary. And then you might have to shoot and you might not. But shooting is just a small part of the big picture.
Yeah, and I tell you, over 25 years, we've seen it go from a few 100,000 people maybe to maybe 20 million people with carry permits, and not even talking about the constitutional carry states where you don't even have to have a permit. We really are at tens of millions of people who carry guns for personal protection now.
Like, this is the golden age for personal self-defense, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can get permits, you can get the training that you need, you can take care of yourself and your family, which is just a basic responsibility. You guys have done so much to really push this part to the general public. I mean, y'all done amazing things in the time that you've been on the air.
Well, and you've been a part of it as we've gone along. So, I mean, I remember when I first called you, and back when I created that first TV show about self-defense with guns, Personal Defense TV, and we came down to Alabama and shot that. It kind of really got the whole genre started of TV shows about personal defense.
Yeah, you're a groundbreaker, right? You're a necessary part of what we're trying to do.
Well, I appreciate you being part of it, and thank you so much for being with us throughout this whole 25 years, Tiger.
It's been a pleasure, sir, and I'm looking forward to 25 more.
Tiger's a lot of fun. We've had a lot of fun. And you talk about a natural-born teacher and trainer. He is the guy. If you ever get a chance, Shoot Right is the name of his outfit, shootright.org, SHOOTRITE. I would be remiss if I didn't thank this person who's been there all along the way. That's my wife, Pat. I cannot tell you how many times over our 46 years of being married, I started a conversation out with, well, how would you feel, or I've been thinking, or would you consider, moving to Alaska, which we did, or going to Washington, D.C., which we did, where I worked for the NRA for 3 years. She's helped with setting up remotes for doing the tech stuff, making sure everything's running, grabbing our guests, making sure they're there, corralling everybody, taking care of that. And, oh, yeah, by the way, we wouldn't have a show because I'm not very good at paperwork. And I kind of, early on, I would just not send out invoices to our wonderful sponsors. And they would send me a note and say, Tom, you haven't sent us an invoice in a year. And I would think, oh, that's why we don't have any money. Okay, well, once we turned it over to Pat, my lovely wife, she sent out invoices, and then we figured out, wow, if you send out bills, people will actually send you money. Pretty cool. We also, she's put up with 25 years of not having weekends. Think about it. I work every Sunday. Well, I've been working six and a half days a week for 25 years. Typically a 12-hour day is what we do. That's on the light days. A lot of times it's 14, 15 hours. And she's put up with that. So I just want to thank my lovely wife who has traveled all over the country with me and put up with this craziness. And all the times I've said, how about if I write a book about this? How about if we move there? How about, and she's always said, yeah, sure. When I said, I've always thought about learning to fly an airplane. She says, so go do it. So I've got 35 years of flying because she said, yeah, do it. So thank you, Pat. You are the love of my life, and you made all this possible, and it's been a great journey. All right, when we come back, we'll take your calls. And we got more guests. We always have more guests because it's Gun Talk. Our number, 866-TALK-GUN. We'll even talk about things that are, scientifical.
Clips, magazines, bullets, cartridges. What's all the fuss? Here's the guy with the answers, Tom Gresham.
All right, 25 years on the year. Holy cow. That is as of this week. Gun Talk turns 25. Crazy stuff. Let's go to the phones. Line 2, Denny's with us out of Corpus Christi, Texas. Hello, Denny. You've made it onto the special show.
It is indeed a special show, and happy anniversary to you, Tom.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Well, let me see. We had the 10 millimeter on your 10th anniversary, and a really nice one there just 5 years ago. So I was wondering, what is the GT gun for this anniversary?
The GT25. Okay, well, yeah, backing up, we had the GT10, which was a Kimber 1911 in 10 millimeter. And then some years later, we did with SIG, we used when they brought out their P220 in 10 millimeter, we got the first ones. We made them a 10 millimeter special Gun Talk gun. We did, I think, 250 or so of those. So
yes.
I am working on the GT25 gun. And let me bounce this off of you, okay? Because I need some input, because we kind of hit a wall about 5 days ago on this project. Because what I did, and I'll just tell you, it's another 10. I spec'd out a 10, and I made it my gun. I said, okay, this is what I want. And I talked with experts, and they said, these are the parts you want to use. And they're more expensive. This is the hammer you want to use. Oh, did I just give something away? And this is what you want to use. And I said, yeah, I want it to look like this. And by the time we're done, here's our question is, I don't know, it's great, but it becomes expensive, and you just wonder, honestly, it's going to end up being just almost $1,800. And these days, I don't know. Yeah, that's the problem. So we're backing up and figuring out, because that's what everybody said is, oh, man, that's tough. Because we had like $1,600 in the Kimber, and I think it was something like $1,200 or $1,300 into the SIG, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, $1,200 on the SIG.
Yeah, and even with inflation and everything else, I'm looking at that and going, man, we're going to have to do something. So that's, honestly, I will just tell you, that's why we're not announcing that gun on the show today. Because I'm taking a look at it and saying, okay, what can I do? What can I do? So I think I just got your reaction. Got your input to it, because that's what we all did. We went, oh man, that's tough. I mean,
yeah.
It's one thing to say it's worth
like
it.
Say,
I mean, but just because something's worth it doesn't mean you're going to pay that much, right?
Being the great enabler, you've always told us that if we save up for it, it's always going to be worth it. Buy the one you want. Don't buy the one that you can buy at the time.
Yeah, I know, and that's true. And we're not like trying to sell thousands. We usually do, 200 or 300 and cut it off, so it becomes definitely a limited run with a special serial number. I guess what I'm asking is, anybody that wants to offer some input, is that just a crazy number, or would people pay that for basically a Tom Gresham designed just the way you want, or just the way I want it, and I'm just going to tell you, it would be a carry gun. So, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for input. Should we go back to the drawing board, or should I go ahead and pull the trigger, so to speak, and go forward with that one? Denny, look, I appreciate the question, because I was not going to bring it up, but when I saw your question, I said, okay, there you go. Denny, thank you so much. I appreciate that. 866-TALK-GUN will get you in there when we come back. Another champion shooter joins us, but we'll also have room for your questions, comments, or you know what? If you've put up with 25 years of gun talk and you still hate it, then I don't know what to tell you. But call me. Tell me why. I'm Tom Gresham.
In 2020, Brownells continues its tribute to Eugene Stoner, the legendary designer of the AR-15, AR-180, and more. The What Would Stoner Do 2020 rifle answers the question of what Stoner would have done with modern lightweight materials. Inspired by another Stoner design, Brownells BRN 180 lower receivers help complete firearms optimized for folding stocks or pistol braces. Visit Brownells.com today and pay tribute to one of America's greatest firearm engineers.
For 36 years, the U.S. Sportsmen's Alliance has been fighting to protect hunting, fishing, and trapping for sportsmen from coast to coast. Today, we are under constant attack from extremist animal rights groups who want to end your ability to hunt in the U.S. Join us to protect our sporting heritage and our way of life outdoors. To join or for more information on how you can help, go to ussportsman.org. That's ussportsman.org.
The Smith & Wesson M&P 380 Shield Easy pistol revolutionized personal protection with its easy-to-use design. Now, enter the M&P Shield Easy in 9mm. Built for personal and home protection, the Smith & Wesson M&P 9 Shield Easy pistol features the same easy-to-rack, easy-to-load, and easy-to-shoot design of the M&P Shield Easy series. Available at a retailer near you. Find out more at smith-wesson.com.
Hi, Doug Ritter here from Knife Rights. Tom was told he was crazy when he started Gun Talk 25 years ago, and as someone who was told they were crazy when I started Knife Rights, I know how hard you have to work to succeed at something that was considered utterly insane and bound to fail. Congratulations, Tom, on 25 years of showing those naysayers how wrong they were, and thanks so much for making a difference for gun owners and the Second Amendment community.
Our good friend, Doug Ritter. Thank you, Doug. I appreciate that. Talk about a guy who's crazy. To do a Second Amendment group called Knife Rights, and he has been so successful getting preemption laws about knives passed in so many states and getting rid of the silly switchblade bans in so many states. Laws that were passed basically because of a movie, West Side Story, believe it or not. Crazy stuff, right? Well, it's kind of like our NFA, the National Firearms Act, the ban, or actually the regulation of machine guns, passed because of what the gangsters did in Prohibition and movies about gangsters using Tommy guns. And so they passed this silly law, and we're saddled with it about the whole machine gun deal. Honestly, there's no reason. I know people are going to go crazy. There's no reason that anybody shouldn't be able to own a machine gun. If you can own a gun, you should be able to own any gun, because you could do bad with anything. And the truth is that people basically just don't. I mean, look, more people are killed with fist and feet than with the so-called assault rifles, assault weapons out there, all right? Hey, Brad, don't go anywhere. I'm going to get to you. But first, I need to bring in a friend of ours. I was able to grab Julie Golob, top shooter, and do a quick interview with her earlier this week. Here's Julie. Julie Golob, professional shooter. We got to talk about 25 years for Gun Talk is also kind of a similar span for when you've been doing competitive shooting. You were part of the Army Marksmanship Unit, AMU, down at Fort Benning, shooting competitively. How long was that for?
I started competing for the AMU in 1995. So it's been a few years.
Oh, yeah. And you were there, I think you said 8 years, right?
About 8 years, yeah.
Holy cow. Well, that's 95 was when Gun Talk started, so that's about the same time.
Well, there we go.
That's right. No wonder I feel like we've been talking about guns together for about 25 years. So there you go.
It's because we have.
We have. Exactly right. What are the big changes you've seen in 25 years of competitive shooting?
Gosh, I think the biggest thing has been the innovation in just the handgun shooting sports that I specialize in. Just in the beginning, we were using, single stack 45s and revolvers. And today, my goodness, we have, 7 different handgun divisions in practical shooting, everything from those basic revolvers and single stack guns all the way up to open race guns and carry optics and polymer frame, double action production guns. It's really an exciting time.
We're almost, would you say we're at the point where you can actually buy a gun, just go buy a gun that you can go be fairly competitive with without any custom work done on it?
Absolutely. And we've seen people do it. We've literally seen people go into a gun shop, buy, an M&P and a couple extra magazines, a belt, a holster, and they, can excel and really do well, even to qualify as master class or higher.
The guns we have today are so much better and so much more ergonomically designed and honestly, frankly, so much more reliable.
For me, being a woman with very small hands, M&P came out of the door with 3 different size back straps. That was a total game changer for me. For years and years, I'd have to adjust my grip and try to make things work. And to have a gun right out of the box be able to fit my hand just right was a huge thing. And then, of course, the reliability, like you said, the features that we're incorporating into modern day firearms are really a neat thing.
Okay, got to ask you, because this is kind of where we're all going. I just ordered my first pistol with a red dot on it. Talk to me about red dots for a sec.
Red dots are awesome. I love me a red dot. And I've been using them for a long time, too, back in the 90s when they were much bigger and a little bit harder to attach to pistols. But slide-mounted red dots are just so innovative, and they're small and they're light and they work, and they make it so that people with eye issues or eye challenges can easily find a sighting system that works for them, and they're super fast and it's easy. It's much easier to be more accurate with them. So I'm a big fan.
And it's interesting. People say, well, why would I use one for concealed carry? And I say, well, let's see. The competitive shooters say that you shoot more accurately and you shoot faster. Isn't that what you want?
Right. And you can have, the beauty of it is you can have the best of both worlds. You can put suppressor sights on your carry gun and have a dot too. So
that's true. You can have irons and an optic at the same time.
There you go. Yep. You can have everything now.
There you go. Julie, it has been delightful having you on the radio for so long. And, you really set the standard for competitive shooters and just truly nice people. And it's always a pleasure.
Oh, thank you so much. And congratulations on 25 years.
Thank you. Yeah, she's a sweetheart. She's, it's like a lot of the folks. I got to know them when they were young in this sport, and then you watch them get older and mature and, have families and all the rest of it. Kim Rohde, I first interviewed her when she was 13. Now she has 6 Olympic medals in 6 different games, and going back most likely to Japan to compete in the 7th, and that would be record-breaking if she does that. So very cool stuff. Let's go to the phones. Brad's with us on line 5 on Indiana. Hey, Brad.
Hello, Tom. How are you?
I'm good. You took somebody to the range.
I did. He came to my range here in the beautiful free state of Indiana, Boone County to be exact. A fellow named Ken Campbell used to be my sheriff. In fact, I used to work for him.
Oh, okay. Sure.
So I had a friend, a fellow I know, runs a music store, and I got to visiting with him with my other illness for guitars. And he had a shotgun he knew nothing about, inherited from his dad, but was concerned about crime and protecting himself. We just had him over here this afternoon. got him started with gun sight safety rules. Took that 18.5-inch, bead sight Mossberg is, and let him shoot it at various ranges to feel how it shot with the buckshot and how it would group and spread.
So what was his takeaway? By the time you're done, what was his takeaway? How did he react to the whole thing?
He wants more. He had so much fun.
Yeah.
He had so much fun. We got him on 22s.
Happens. Yeah, I mean, it always happens. You let them shoot, you let them have some success, and they just want to do more. And, at that point, they're hooked. I mean, it's, what do they say? The first one's free.
Oh, yeah, it's always free. Then, when you're hooked.
That's it. Well, thank you and congratulations. That is excellent. I mean, we all need to be doing more of that. But, Brad, the deal is you're a good instructor. You know what you're doing. The key is to provide good, simple instruction and guarantee success, right?
Amen. That's why we started with the 22 and red dots for fun.
I love that. I think 22 and a red dot, it's kind of like, okay, we don't have to explain sight alignment or anything else. I mean, everybody can figure out if you can see the red dot and if it's on the target, you press the trigger. Now we're just working on grip and trigger pull, and now they're hitting stuff. So excellent. Again, thank you, and thank you for the call, sir. I appreciate that. Let's see, Jim, what do we got? We got a minute left. Can we get Paul? Oh, we're good. We got Paul on line 1 joining us out of New Hampshire. Hey, Paul, what's on your mind?
Tom, how you doing? I really love your show, and you have a great call screener. Really, terrific to get on your show.
Don't tell her that. She gets all big-headed when you talk about Michelle that way.
No, that's okay.
How can I help you?
Well, Tom, where I'm at, you always hear about home invasions, and they always concern me. And we've had some fairly close in the area, and I started thinking about getting a handgun, and I'm a little so-so about what gun, what caliber, and also I'm concerned if I'm not home and if somebody breaks in the house and steals the gun, what type of liability am I look at?
Good questions. All right. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. I need quick answers so we can get right through this. Do you have much experience with guns at all?
I've shot friends' handguns. I've hunted, rifles, bolt action, pump guns for bird shooting and double barrel shotguns.
Okay. All right. Here's what we're going to do. What you need more than a gun is you need training, because the gun is absolutely no good. Maybe it's worse than anything if you don't have good training. And training is not learning how to shoot. It's not learning marksmanship. Training is about self-defense with guns. You are fortunate. Right there in New Hampshire, you have one of the best training facilities in the world. It's in Exeter. It's the SIG Academy. I don't know how far that is from where you are, but it can't be that far because New Hampshire's not that big.
Far.
How far?
It's not too far away. No, it's a very reasonable drive to get to them.
All right. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to look up SIG Academy on the internet and contact them and go take their basic pistol class to start off with, and tell them, I don't have a gun. They make guns. They have a room full of guns. You can just go rent one for the class. Start that way, and then you'll start to get an idea of, okay, I like this, I don't like that, and now I'm going to quickly address the issue with liability. When you're not there, that gun should be locked up, and it's very simple. There are inexpensive little locking boxes, little safes that you can lock it up in. That keeps anybody from getting access to it. And also, I understand the concern with liability, but also just being responsible. We don't want our guns to fall in the hands of somebody who shouldn't have it. So, yeah, you get a lockbox. But, yeah, I would say first step for you is contact the SIG Academy. It's down the road from you. Go take a class, then maybe take another class and say, hey, what have you guys got? And talk to them. Say, I'm concerned about home defense. And they'll go, oh, okay, well, then we will talk to you about this. They know their stuff. And the takeaway is you're going to have so much fun, you won't believe it. And you definitely will want to go back because, hey, that's the way training works. Hey, we'll be right back with more Gun Talk. We put tens of thousands of people at a rally in Virginia, and we have all these sanctuary cities and counties in Virginia. And we were able to push back one of the bad laws that they were trying to pass there, but frankly, they passed a bunch of other ones. They've got the universal background check. They've got one handgun a month gun rationing in Virginia. So if you go into the store and find 2 guns that you've been looking for years, 2 handguns, you can't buy them. You can only buy one. You have to wait 30 days before you can buy another one. How'd that happen? We didn't go to the polls. Now, admittedly, Bloomberg went into Virginia and spent a ton of money and got his candidates, his gun control candidates, elected, and they are doing exactly what he told them to do. And the governor's doing what he's been told to do. And they're passing restrictions on gun owners. Not guns, gun owners, responsible gun owners, because the crooks don't obey the law. So the only people who are affected by these, by definition, are law-abiding people. Virginia is our Alamo. Remember the Alamo, remember Virginia. And I'm seeing it in state after state right now with people showing up at the legislatures, beating back bad bills. One of the takeaways from all of this, from looking at 25 years of gun talk on the air, is we were doing the exact same thing 25 years ago. This is not a thing where you say, well, I'll get involved for a few weeks, or I'll make one trip to the legislature. This is a part of a lifestyle change where you say, this is what I do. I am a Second Amendment warrior. And we will show up in great numbers at rallies and at town hall meetings where these legislators, these politicians are appearing. They need to see us in numbers because they're seeing the Moms Demand group, the AstroTurf group from Bloomberg show up. They show up. The world belongs to those who show up. If we're not there, then they think we don't exist. And they believe that nonsense about 90% of the people say they want universal background checks. No, we don't. When you do the survey a certain way, you can get people to say they want background checks. But if you say, do you favor making it a crime to loan your shotgun to your neighbor to go pheasant hunting for the weekend? They say, well, that's stupid. Well, that's universal background checks. That's what they are. That's what they do. They criminalize the private sale of guns. They criminalize loaning a gun to someone. Red flag laws. Make it possible for your neighbor or somebody who doesn't like you to file a complaint and have the police show up and take your guns away with no due process. You don't get to go to the judge or appear before it happens. The first time you even know a complaint has been made is when the SWAT team shows up or the police show up at your door and take your guns. If we don't show up, they pass those laws. It really is that simple. And if we're not registered to vote and we don't vote, they pass those laws. We have to start supporting at the lower level, state legislature, the right candidates, people who really do support the Second Amendment. And any of them who say, well, I support the Second Amendment, but you're out. Done. Because the but always means I don't really support the Second Amendment. If they want to put any restrictions on it at all, I repeat that, any restrictions on it at all, you do not believe in the Constitution, you are not for freedom. And if we all don't get motivated and show up, we're looking at continued losses in the states, possibly at the national level. So this is our year. So I'm asking you to donate 20 minutes of your time a day to write letters, to get informed, to do things, to show up, to speak to your friends, to take them to the range. 20 minutes a day, 20 in 2020. That's what we're looking for. Appreciate that. We've been doing the Truth Squad all these years, 25 years. We've been on the air. Thank you for that. Hey, we'll be right back. I'm Tom Gresham. This is, 25 years of Gun Talk.